Hope you're all well. It's nearly 1 a.m. here, so it's going to be mega quick. This is very quick. I've just come across a WJHL little video with a brand new interview with Don Wells. Candus Wells was there, but she walked away, apparently. Something that she's good at. So I don't know how many of you are still following the Summer Wells case. I mean, there hasn't been anything new for a long time now. So, you know, people have found other cases. You know, a lot of people who were heavily invested in Summer's case are now almost exclusively probably following Sebastian Rogers. But sadly, in 4 days, Summer Wells, then 5, will have been missing for 3 years. How did that happen? How did that happen? So I'm going to share with you the WJHL piece. It's only very short. I don't know whether they're going to do anything more, as you know, we're now on, like for me, it's June the 11th. For most of you, I'm guessing it's still going to be June the 10th. But it's going to be, is it Saturday, June 15th, I think? So last year, WJHL did something for Summer, and News Nation did. They did like a full kind of piece, and Ansley Daniel from WJHL appeared on News Nation, like live. She was answering questions live. So I don't know if anything similar is going to be planned this year. But I'll show you the WJHL one in a second. But when I saw that, I just had a quick look to see if there was anything else that has been said about Summer. And this was out a few days ago, which I completely missed, because probably like most people, I'm just assuming that there's nothing new in Summer's case. So sadly, I've kind of stopped looking. But this is from, what's this one? Channel 3. So they've done a really short piece. June 15th will mark 3 years since Summer Wells disappeared in 2021, leading to one of the most exhaustive and involved missing child cases ever investigated by the TBI. Though there's no new details to share in this case, the TBI reiterated their continued work on the case with the FBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office to chase every lead, ask every question, and search every place we can to find Summer. Summer remains the subject of an ongoing Amber Alert at approximately 6:30 p.m. on June 15th, 2021. Summer Wells was reported missing from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Forensic artists with the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children released an age-progressed image in February that showed what she may look like today. Go away. The TBI asked the public to help by refraining from sharing speculations or non-official sources and reporting only credible tips or information to 1-800-TBI-FIND. So, completely nothing new. Totally nothing new, except for WJHL and a new interview. Yeah, no updates in a year, Don says. Absolutely. Do I ever sleep? I do. I sleep a lot. All right, so we're gonna listen to this. Don Wells hasn't changed, by the way. For those who haven't seen this, Don Wells is still reiterating the same old story. But anyway, let's play this. It's only 3 minutes long. 3.5 minutes. So I'm going to stop it at intervals and comment. But let's go.
Marks 3 years since the disappearance of then 5-year-old Summer Wells from her Hawkins County home.
The night she was reported missing, authorities said Summer was last seen walking from her home on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community. Hours later, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation would issue an endangered child alert for her. That would later turn into an Amber Alert.
To this day, law enforcement still has not located Summer Wells and are not any closer to finding her. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniels spoke with Summer's parents.
We have pushed investigators for months to learn about new details or updates in this case. What we do know is that her family continues their search to bring Summer home. I spoke with both Don and Candus Wells in Kingsport at a place with deep meaning to Summer's disappearance. Borden Park is anything but quiet this time of year. But 3 years ago, it was filled almost weekly with people praying for Summer Wells.
I see all these families, you know, with their kids and how much they enjoy them and stuff. And we were stripped away from all our kids. All our kids have been kidnapped from us by DCS. And who knows, we're not sure about Summer, but we know about where our boys are at.
While the
So he hasn't changed, has he? Hasn't changed one bit. Hasn't changed one bit. So I tried to find out exactly when this was filmed. And I'll go back to it in a second. But I went to find Summer Wells on Facebook. And a couple of days ago, June the 8th, Find Summer Wells, which is Tim Mullen, wrote, "Thank you, WCYB." So WCYB must have done something as well. At the moment, there's nothing on YouTube from them. But anyway, thank you to them and WJHL for your professionalism today and keeping Summer Moon Utah Wells respectfully in the public eye and hearts. Don Candus. I hate it when he does that. I hate it when he combines the names. And their families are very grateful. So that's June 7th. So this was filmed a few days ago. I wanted to know when it was filmed because, you know, maybe it's not quite new. Maybe they've, you know, did the interview a while ago, but apparently not. Apparently this is only a few days old. Thank you, Groovy Canadian Chick, for the Canadian $6.99. I should write a book, The Summer That Summer Got Gone. Oh, thank you. What's the most common belief on the missing child Summer? You've not followed this case closely. I think most people think that the parents did something in some way. I think that's the common belief. But I've got over 500 videos. So if you want to start at the beginning and work your way up, you can meander through all the possible theories that there's ever been and my opinion and assessment of them all. So it might take you some time. But yeah. So this is scenes from August 2021, one of the prayer vigils. So Don hasn't changed his tune. He still believes that the CPS have kidnapped his children, that the CPS kidnapped the three boys, and he's not sure about Summer. So he's still potentially under the impression that the CPS also kidnapped Summer as well. Okay, Don. All right.
prayer vigils are now few and far between, Don and Candus Wells haven't stopped praying that their daughter Summer will be found.
We have hope, always. I mean, but there's not much hope in this world. It's like, you know, we have to trust God that there's hope in eternal life in heaven.
Summer was reported.
So that's another way to say he'll see her in the resurrection, isn't it? I'm sorry, Don. I'm not meaning to be negative, but it's like, where have the last 3 years gone? Because we're all caught in this Groundhog Day. When it comes to Don Wells, we've all been caught in this 3-year Groundhog Day. Don's looking better. He is. He is. I mean, is he? He never really looks that well, in my opinion. But you know, that's his choice, isn't it? Don's more feminine and Candace is more manly as the days go by. Interesting. Don needs a new box of hair dye. Forever young. Oh, he might see her in the resurrection, but will she want to see them? Hey, that's a very good point. Very good point.
Reported missing on June the 15th of 2021.
We know that she was taken off her property. We know she was taken away in a vehicle, or they would have found her in the area if she was somewhere in the area. But who's responsible for her? We don't know.
I asked Don and Candus when was the last time they heard from investigators.
We haven't lately at all. It's been a while, over a year, I think. I haven't talked to any law enforcement at all.
So they haven't spoken to them in a year. Over a year. DeMorse thinks she's still alive. Some people think she's still alive. But realistically, after 3 years, well, we have to be realistic, don't we? But yeah, some people still think she's alive. But the fact that law enforcement haven't been in touch with them, if that's true, for over a year, that's insane. That's insane. I'd be banging on their door for an update. I mean, the thing is, when there is a lot of public interest, I know it annoys law enforcement, and sometimes rightly so, because, you know, people do contact them with wild theories and stuff, and it must get in their way. But while there is public interest, it does hold law enforcement's feet to the fire somewhat. You know, it does inspire them to carry on. But when all of that publicity dies down and people move on, as they have to, you know, there comes a time when there isn't anything else to talk about. So, you know, news channels can't just constantly talk about Summer Wells because there's nothing new to say. And likewise with YouTube channels, you'd just be saying the same thing over and over again. So it is very difficult to keep a case in the public eye when there's literally nothing new. So it's a catch-22 situation. You know, law enforcement don't have anything new to report. Therefore, there's nothing new to report. And then that turns it back. If there's no public interest because there's nothing new to report, then law enforcement can rest on their laurels. And it seems to be what's happened.
I tried to talk to the FBI agent about it, but that didn't go anywhere.
Don says he feels that he and his wife Candus were targeted by the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office.
They intimidated us, they belittled us, and done everything they could amidst all the chaos, and then CPS was there doing the same thing.
When asked about how he thinks about Summer's disappearance 3 years later, Don spoke about a Department of Children's Services investigation.
They said somebody had called and said that we was giving our kids loaded guns to play with, and so they closed the case June 14th, which is something CPS does not do. They don't just close cases. So it's really odd and mystifying why they closed the case June 14th, and then 24 hours later, Summer's gone.
All right. Now, last time he did an interview, and I want to say it was with Josh from the lab, but I might be wrong. I know it's possibly him. And it was exactly the same story. They closed the case with the CPS on June 14th. Now, CPS do close cases, don't they? Or is Tennessee different than anywhere else? CPS do close cases. It's not that every inquiry that they get remains open. They do close cases. So I don't really know what he's talking about there. But anyway, he's insinuating that the CPS turned up on some bogus tip and then closed the case. And then 24 hours later, Summer goes missing under suspicious circumstances. It kind of insinuates that the CPS had something to do with it. So that kind of doesn't make sense.
Summer's mother, Candus, sat in for part of our interview, but got up after a few questions.
She was going to try, but her emotions are just too much.
The last update in the...
Did you hear that last bit? She stayed for a few questions and then she just got up and walked off. All right. Okay. Way to go, Candice. Way to go. Sebastian's case duplicates this case. I think in terms of the public interest and the wildness of it, it does. I think Sebastian's case is worse than Summer's case for the amount of wild stuff that's going on. I mean, the worst it got in Summer's case was Don on different YouTube channels every night, like getting more and more drunk and more outrageous. But in Sebastian's case, there's, 3 months down the line, it's wild, absolutely wild. But the details of it, and the details are very different. If you know both cases, the details are really quite different. Like Summer went missing in the middle of the day. She didn't sneak out of her house at night. And also Summer was 5. She's now 8, but she was 5. And Sebastian is 15. So very different types of potential theories. Like a 5-year-old doesn't just decide to run away. They might decide to wander off because they're curious about something. But I kind of don't know how I feel about Summer's case anymore. But let's just listen to the last few seconds of this.
The Summer Wells case from law enforcement was an age-progressed photo released in June of last year. This image was released by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Summer Wells, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. That number is right there on your screen.
So that's it. Now, I hope that that's not all we're going to see from the news channels or from anyone. To mark the 3 years. I hope the news do push a little bit, maybe, because it may be the only way to get this case kick-started again, to get people talking about the case again. Yeah, the age progressed image. Yeah, it wasn't very good, was it? But surely the TBI will give an update. Well, they didn't last year. They gave like I think it was a tweet. That was it. And they did a tweet for her birthday. This is the last TBI tweet. And this was on Summer's birthday in February. Never forgotten, today is Summer Wells' 8th birthday. She's been missing since June 15th, 2021. Although we still don't have the answers we've been seeking, agents continue to investigate the circumstances surrounding her disappearance. Call 1-800-TBI-FIND. And that was February 4th. So for Summer's 8th birthday. That's the last we heard from the TBI. I honestly don't think Candice knows very much. I think she knows more than what she's told the public, but I don't think it's because she knows what happened to Summer. And I have been saying that for a long time now. And I reached that conclusion because with literally no hope of law enforcement telling us anything or even finding anything, even if, maybe they don't tell us anything because they don't have anything. But I got so demoralized with the case, really. I think it was after the 2-year mark when the TBI didn't give us an update, and then Ansley Daniel from WJHL contacted the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and they refused to do an interview, but they did tell Ansley by email that there would hopefully be an update in the near future. And that got me really excited, because I thought, wow, okay, that might mean that they are following something, you know, a lead very closely, and they're not quite ready to release that to the public yet. But maybe they are onto something. But then nothing happened. And a year later, we are still waiting for Hawkins County to give us an update that they promised last year. So I got really demoralized with the case, and I just thought, well, maybe she just wandered off. Maybe Candice was asleep. And the thing that Candice isn't saying is that she was asleep and she has no idea what happened to Summer. I just got completely demoralized with it. And I think we just need something now to kickstart people talking about Summer's case again. We did. We all got hopeful. We did. We all got hopeful. We all got hopeful. In your opinion, do you give any weight to the dispatcher saying Mom went for a walk? Oh, we've talked about that so much. So much. I think the dispatcher was confused because now obviously we haven't heard the 911 call, so this is purely speculative. But I think the dispatcher could have got confused when Candice said she was at her mother's camper. Like, because that was the story, wasn't it? That she was at Grandma's camper, and then Summer went in, and then when Candice went in, Summer had gone. So I think the going for a walk, I think the dispatcher didn't realise that Grandma's camper was like 30 feet from their front door. So no, I don't put any weight to it in terms of, you know, it being significant. I don't think Candice went for a walk. You know, a walk in the woods on a summery afternoon. I don't think so. No, I mean, if you look back my videos from, let's say, August, September, October 2021, when the case was new, my number one theory then was that she had been sold, or she was exchanged for a debt or something like that. I really believed it. And then I did a mini series called Truth in the Hills, and I went through everything again. So that would have been like maybe November 2021. And there's just no evidence. There's just no evidence for that at all. It's pure speculation. And I don't think it's an accident. Why would you hide a body if there was an accident? It doesn't make sense. They don't release them in Tennessee. They don't release them. At least that's what people have been told. Like in like some places, they release a 911 call, like they do here in this country. They'll release a 911 call, as long as it's not got like really important information that needs to stay quiet for, you know, for the investigation. But Tennessee, it seems to be that they just don't release 911 calls. Yeah, I think so. Because look at it, you know, it's a hill, it's quiet, they own 11 acres. Why shouldn't the kids go playing on their property? You know, to be honest, why shouldn't they? They should be safe playing on their property. So Summer had 11 acres to wander about in. So yeah, she probably did. And then a kid as young as Summer probably wouldn't recognise a property line, would she? You know, once she'd gone down the hill, she might meander away and walk down the road, and and whatever. No, I don't think Summer's been taken by CPS. CPS don't kidnap children. Why would the CPS want to kidnap Summer Wells? That does not make sense. If they wanted to take Summer Wells, they would have found a legal reason to take her. They wouldn't have kidnapped her. It just doesn't make sense. You've been listening to Don too much. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just difficult to find things to talk about. That's why I don't cover her very much now. Yes. Yeah. I do appreciate them going back in comments rather than going forward. Yeah, they could contact law enforcement. They could. They could. Well, they've probably told all they know. They were the last people to see Summer. So they've probably told, you know, they'll have had loads of forensic interviews. And if there's anything to tell, those boys would have told it. Like 3 years down the line, like they've been in CPS care, they've been in a foster home now for almost 3 years. They were taken by CPS in July. It was about a month after. I think it was about 5 weeks after Summer went missing. So if something really, you know, horrible had gone down and the boys were keeping that secret, I think after 3 years they would have spilled it. And that's one of the reasons, honestly, why I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing more to this case other than the boys weren't paying attention and Grandma had gone into her camper, and she finally said in an interview that she had a nap. So Grandma had gone in for a nap. I think Candice fell asleep because they'd all been up like early to go to the hospital, and they'd been driving about. And I think Candice, I seriously, honestly think Candice fell asleep. Like Grandma fell asleep and had a nap, I think Candice had a nap. And when she woke up, she had no idea where Summer was. And when she finally, you know, realised she was missing, it could have been like 2 hours later. I think that's what she's hiding. I do. And that's partly because if the boys knew something, if something had gone down, like something nefarious had gone down, that the boys had been, you know, sworn to secrecy, I think after 3 years they would have told, because they're so, you know, they don't speak to Don and Candice now. There's no reason why those boys would hold that secret after 3 years. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think she does. After I seriously don't. I used to. That's exactly what I used to believe. But it's just the amount of time that's gone by and there's just nothing. No, I've never believed that. I've never believed that the church had anything to do with Summer's disappearance. I think that's just a massive red herring. You know, in that some of those, certainly the people from the church that, you know, we've met are maybe a little bit weird, but I don't think they're kidnappers. I don't see any reason. I don't see what the motive would be to kidnap Summer. Yeah. I agree with that. That the amount of people hanging around, the amount of people that Candice invited to the property, and, you know, the fact that she let Jose stay and she didn't know him at all. You know, the fact that I think she's probably too trusting. So the way that, you know, their lifestyle was, it did put the kids in danger. But whether that's actually resulted in Summer disappearing is another matter. It's just so sad. So sad. Yeah, The Truth in the Hills. Like I did, I think it was it 5 or 6 episodes? And then I did another one similar. I went right back to the beginning again. When was that? And that was the Summer Suspects. So I did my top 5 suspects and why. So it's a different way to look at the case. Like The Truth in the Hills was about all the different theories. Like each episode was a different theory. And I was like trying to be as critical as possible with each episode. Like really debunk it, you know, each episode. And then Summer Suspects was going back right back to the beginning, but going through the different suspects. So going through this, it was the same information, but just presenting it in a different way. The boys, why did they get taken? Well, it depends who you listen to. Like Don said, it was because YouTubers were threatening them and people were coming up to their property. And there was some shenanigans with YouTubers. So, you know, there's a little bit of truth in that. But actually what really happened was that, and again, this is all alleged. This is what's kind of come out secondhand. None of us actually knows what happened. Not really. But apparently Candice rang them because Don had been on a bender and was very volatile. And then when CPS arrived, both of them got drug tested and both of them had drugs on board. So the boys got taken into temporary foster care. But they've never come back because Don and Candice were meant to do parenting classes in order to get the boys back. And Candice did some. I know Candice has done some. But I don't think they've fulfilled all the criteria that they were meant to do. One of the criteria was to fix the house up. And they do seem to have done some improvements to the house. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to have fulfilled. And then in the middle of it all, Don went to jail for, how long was it? About 9 months, Don went to jail for his probation violation. So that set everything back. So you would think that after almost 3 years, they would have lost their parental rights anyway. Like normally, if parents don't book their ideas up and you know get approved that they've done everything that CPS told them to do, don't they lose the parental rights eventually? So I don't know. And I don't know whether their PIs are still working with them. Like they had a couple of PIs that were working with them. So I don't know if they ever found anything significant. Yeah. They give them loads of chances. They do in this country as well. And sometimes, unfortunately, that backfires. Yeah. I can't imagine that Ansley Daniel was asking her anything really intense. I can't see Ansley Daniel from WJHL like being this like superstar interrogator. You know, it was probably something really minor, and Candice had a wobble. Yeah, and there's never been any charges. That's the thing. So, you know, for what you can kind of understand why Don thinks they've been kidnapped. The actual truth is that they've not fulfilled all the things that they were meant to do. Or at least they hadn't last time Don and Candy spoke about it. But there's never been any charges. So how serious was the neglect, or for whatever reason they were taken? You know, that the house wasn't in good enough shape. It was, you know, there's a lot of dangerous stuff. Like there was like wires hanging from walls, and you know, it was pretty dangerous. So that they had to sort that out because it wasn't like livable for children. And then the drug and alcohol thing was a big issue, obviously. So if they've sorted out the house, then it must just be to do with addiction. That's just a process of elimination. I mean, there might be more to it than, you know, what we've ever heard. And obviously we're never going to know because CPS don't release their reports, and rightly so. So I think the only time we're ever going to find out what really went down is when one of the boys comes of age and speaks out, either speaks out to the media or speaks out to social media. You know, the eldest boy's 15 now. I think he'll be 16 in September or around that time. So there's only another couple of years and he'll be 18. He'll be an adult. So maybe he'll speak, you know, on his own right. I don't know. Or maybe he won't. Maybe they've got a good life now and it's so far removed from, you know, the trauma of the sister going missing and the parents' addictions that they just want to, you know, finish high school, maybe go to college, get a good job, and really, you know, step out into the world, and maybe they won't want anything to do with the case. Not that they won't miss the sister, of course they will, but what I mean is they won't want to talk about it. So the scent ended at the road. Yeah, I've done a lot of scent dog videos, and actually quite often when a scent moves from a natural surface to an artificial surface, the dog loses the scent. It's very common. Don looks nice in the interview. He's grown his hair a little bit. Didn't Candice go on another drive? There was a rumour that she left. There was a rumour that she left. But whether she actually did or not, I don't think we'll ever know. I think she did, personally. I think she left. But I think she went looking for Summer. I think she realised Summer was missing, went and had a look for her, came back, and then started panicking. And then went out again when she rang Don. So I do think she left twice, but I think it's because she realised Summer was missing. And I think she knows Summer was missing for a lot longer than what she's let on. People talk about the Wells home, but it was much better than the other suspect. Don and Candice had so many pics. Went on many vacations, yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I really don't disagree with you. No, I don't think. If you're talking about Candice, I don't think she killed Summer. I've never thought that Summer was murdered by either parent. Where do the Wells live now? Ben Hill Road. They're back at Ben Hill. As far as I know, they were back at Ben Hill. You know, they came back from Arkansas because Don was told by his probation officer to come back. because he's not meant to leave the state because he's on probation still. So we got told to come back. Yeah, Candice went to the end of the road looking for her. She did. She did, but I think she went out twice. And that's why there's been this rumour about her being seen earlier on. I think that's why. That's true. Yeah, there has been quite a few people who've died. Like that are, you know, peripheral to the case. But still, you know, that we know them, like Jose and Ali have both died. So, but then again, you know, it's 3 years. People die. I mean, shame with Ali. I mean, she was only young, wasn't she? And Jose wasn't old either. It could be yeah, it's a lovely setting. I'd like it, like on a hill where you can oversee your kingdom. I'd love it. I'd really like to live there. Just to oversee my kingdom on my hill. But I'd have a big fence. I'd have an electrified fence all the way around so no one could get in. And I'd have several large guard dogs, like patrolling the perimeter. So if any sneaky person tried to get on, they'd get ripped to bits and electrocuted by the fence. But that's just me. But yeah, I'd like to live there. I think that's addiction for you. I think deep down they love the kids, but addiction does horrible things to people. I really do think it's the case here is one of addiction, sadly. Yeah, Ricky Crawford. These people, though, I mean, they're in the local area, but they're not really connected to the case, are they? So yeah, Rick Crawford died. He just happens to, you know, have lived in the local area. I am the keeper of the fields. I am. Yeah, Cotton Simpson. Cotton Simpson is only connected to the case because Fred Hill said he was. So even though when Fred came out with that, I thought, could it be him? Could it be him? You know, there was some sense to it. Could it be him? And then I thought, it's Fred. It's Fred. Yeah, Jose. Brianna Tester. I mean, she wasn't related to the case. You know, she was on, I think she was Facebook friends with Candice, but there's no way she's connected to the case. Ali, obviously. Fred's friend. Yeah, I know you mean. Oh, what was his name? But he wasn't connected. He died before Summer went missing. So, what was his name? I want to say Jason, but I might be wrong. I can even picture him. Like he'd been missing for a year or something like that. He'd been missing ages, and then they found him, like dead close to home in like a woods. Yeah, Marlena's dad, that's Rick. And that Brandon guy's dad, the JLR interviewed. Oh, I didn't know his dad had died. You know, these people, they're not connected to the case except for they live in the area. So the only two people that have died that have direct connections to the case are Ali and Jose. All the rest are just, well, they're in the area. Could they have been related to the case in some way? Yeah, but were they? I don't know. I don't know. It wouldn't be a fence for my dogs. It would be a fence to keep people out. They're going to get a felony for neglect. Honestly, I think that if they were going to get charged with neglect, I think it would have happened by now. You know, it's 3 years down the line. It's 3 years. It could be down in Orwell. I think Orwells tend to get capped. I mean, could there be some open wells still? Yeah. I think it's more probable if she's out there, if something horrible befell her, I think it's more likely she's a victim of the natural environment. So like fell down like a ravine or a hole. You know, the terrain is very, very rugged. And, you know, if she'd wandered that little bit too far and got lost, she could easily have, you know, fallen down a hill or ravine or something and sadly passed away. And because she's so small and because the foliage was so dense at the time, maybe they missed her. Maybe it's that simple. Maybe there's no crime at all. Yeah, Ziggy married Fred. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she died a while back. It was really sad. I think she had a fall or something, and she wasn't breathing, and she'd been deprived of oxygen for too long by the time someone found her, and she was on life support. And she never came round. Now, that's the story I heard, and whether there was more, you know, more medical things involved as well, I'm not sure. No, did Fred Hill accidentally hit her? Yeah, but if you accidentally hit someone, why would you hide a body? Wouldn't you just, if it's an accident, if it's truly an accident, there's no crime, is there? Why would you criminalize yourself by hiding the body if it's a genuine accident? Oh, Leslie, yeah, I forgot about Leslie. Yeah, Leslie. So Ali's friend, Leslie. Yeah, she's kind of connected to the case because she did the interview with Chris McDonough. But that's the only reason she's connected to the case. Yeah, I agree. They're not parents of the year, but it doesn't mean anything really. Oh, they're not going to get a felony. No. No. So I think we've named quite a lot. We've named quite a lot there. I can't think of anyone else. There's only two that have direct relevance to the case. That's Jose, because he lived there for a while and knew Summer very well. And then Ali, because she saw Summer that day. So those are the two that have died that are directly related to the case. The others have died and they're in the local area. So they're kind of like neighbours or extended neighbours. So it's quite a lot. But, you know, there's a lot of addiction around there. So, you know, people are not of the best of health. And then you've got Cotton Simpson, who died purely as an accident, like fell down a cliff. You've got Rick Crawford, who had a heart attack, I believe, because that he's quite an old man. I don't know about the others. I think Brianna Tester, I think there was some suspicious circumstances there. Not really sure what the deal was. I don't know how Leslie died. Does anybody know how Leslie died? Dave Rader put a lot of importance on the neighbours. Yeah, well, if it's an abduction in that area, given the the remoteness of the property. I mean, there was a main road right next to it. But I don't think it's a stranger. If someone was abducted, I don't think she was abducted by a stranger. So I think Dave Rader's right to think if she was abducted, if it is criminal, rather than wandering away and sadly passing away somewhere, if it is criminal, it has to be someone connected to the local community. It has to be someone who knew someone lived there. Had to be. A complete stranger just, passing by on Beach Street Road wouldn't even know that someone lived there. So it has to be someone local. So I think that's what Dave Rader's getting at. And I think he's right. If it is criminal. Maybe there'll be a deathbed confession. Don't know. Yeah, I mean, I did a couple of videos talking about that when that came out. And Jodie Sue was not happy with me. He didn't immediately enlist. I mean, it was quite a long time after Summer went missing that he joined the military. So it wasn't immediately. But he's, if you're looking at you're looking at all the immediate neighbours as potential, persons of interest, then certainly he would be classed as someone who would be a person of interest along with all the other neighbours. Because he was an adult. At the time someone disappeared, he was 19. He was an adult. So, it's not about protecting him as a minor because he wasn't a minor. So he's just as much, you can side-eye him just as much as you can side-eye any of the other neighbours. Does it mean he did anything? No. It's all just speculation. Earl Taylor. Oh yeah, Earl Taylor died as well. There's been loads then. But again, he's not connected at all to the case, I don't think. Yeah, Jose died. Well, let me move down the chat now. Oh, there we go. Cotton's death's being investigated. Yeah, I think they've concluded it was an accident. I think that's what his family think. Now, whether law enforcement are investigating it further, maybe they are. No, it wasn't no comment. It was inconclusive. His Polly was inconclusive. How did Ali die? She fell. I think this is the story I heard. So don't quote me. I don't know whether there's any, whether there's any more medical stuff, but apparently she fell. Her brain was deprived of oxygen for too long by the time she was found. And then they put her on like a ventilator, life support, and she never came round. That's what I heard. I don't know whether there was any anything else connected to that as well. Oh, Leslie had a heart attack, really? Yeah. So somebody local who knew there was children living at that property. So it could be not someone who actually lived there. It could be a visitor, like someone who comes to that area to buy drugs, for example. but it would still be someone kind of broadly known rather than a complete stranger, you know. I mean, total stranger abductions are rare, thankfully. Usually there is some connection somewhere with either the family or that local, you know, that property. She passed away in her sleep. It's a nice way to go. Not for the family, but it's a peaceful way to go. Yeah. Yeah, they were. The New York group, yeah. I mean, it does sound shady. The way that Jose described it and the way that Andrew Hiltz has described it, it was just very bizarre. But again, you know, just because these people are bizarre doesn't mean that they're abductors. Yeah, what fun. I think she does. I haven't watched Jodie Sue in quite a long time. But yeah, I think she still does the live streams. I think she does. I don't know what she talks about. I don't know what she finds to talk about these days. And I'm not really sure I want to know. Who's Earl Taylor? Oh, he was... Oh, it's some kind of convoluted relationship between him and Marlena Crawford. Marlena Crawford being Rick Crawford's daughter and related to Fred Hill. So just someone out in the community. They're all related to each other in some way, shape or form. And there's kind of shady stuff with them, but not in the, you know, the pedos or abductors or anything like that. A lot of the shadiness is to do with addiction. She still does her long lives. No way. Not as often. But she was on one in the last couple of hours. Oh, my word. Oh, Clyda Trent. Clyda Trent, did she die? She must be quite old, though. Like, she was Don's mother's best friend. I don't think it's ever been released. I don't think it's ever been released. So I don't want to speculate. Like, I have heard speculations, but I don't want to speculate because we've never heard anything from anybody connected to Jose. It is a shame, yeah. Marlena Crawford, someone who lives in the local area, was a friend of Candice. Marlena's daughter and Summer were friends. Right, she had a little daughter, like around the same age as Summer, so Marlena would visit Ben Hill Road and the little girls would play together. Summer and the little girl would play together. And Marlena is, I think she's Fred Hill's second cousin or something. So just lots of people in the local area connected to each other. I did hear that, but I'm not gonna say that's what happened because I don't know. It's just that's what's been rumored. She totally has. She totally has. And then she complains when people talk about her, but she's put herself there. Like, just the fact that she was doing live streams for like 8 hours a day, talking about everybody. You know, the whole world and his wife would be discussed in these 8-hour live streams. And then she complains when people talk about her. If she doesn't want to be talked about, then just, you know, don't do 8-hour live streams. Well, she wasn't a suspect. So that's what she normally did. She would spend like a certain amount of time in Tennessee with Candace, and then she would go to Illinois to spend some time with her sister or a sister-in-law or something. And then she'd go to Wisconsin because she had family and stuff in Wisconsin. So she traveled about, and that was her life. It probably still is her life. So it wasn't unusual for her to leave to go to her sister or sister-in-law's in Illinois. That's where she went. And it wasn't immediately after someone went missing. It was like the month after. And she's not a suspect, so law enforcement couldn't keep her. It's not like she's an official suspect. You can't keep her. And, you know, as long as she answers her phone, if they need to speak to her, then there's no reason why she shouldn't go wherever she wants. Yeah. That's all come out, hasn't it? Yeah. Like once we've seen Fred Hill's charges, we know that they were investigating the drugs on Ben Hill Road. Well, Ronnie Lawson said there wasn't a problem in the area. Yeah, you're right with that. You're absolutely right with that. It's exactly what he did. Did you miss the interview? Yeah, it's only short. It's on WJHL. You should go and listen to it. I'm going to go now anyway. I did say I wasn't going to stay on very long. So that's the link to it. It is in the description box for replay viewers. She went, yeah, it was the same week the boys were taken. And it was Illinois she went. No, she might have gone to Wisconsin as well. But yeah, I think she probably visited there in the summer because it's cold in the winter. How many police on Ben Hill? What when Summer disappeared? Loads. It was a massive search effort. It was loads. Like for 13 days after she disappeared, like they threw everything at it. Yeah, well, it would have been about 6 weeks because it was the same week the boys were taken. So anyway, right, I'm gonna go because it's very late. It's nearly 2 o'clock now, so I've got to go to bed because I've got to get up in the morning. So, but I just thought I'd share that interview with you. So make of it what you will. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Hopefully, the news channels will maybe prompt a little bit more discussion, you know, on June 15th. And I hope everybody remembers Summer on June 15th. I think I'll do a video about Summer on June 15th as well. So, all right, guys. So thank you all. I don't know if I had any mods in. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I always thank the mods anyway. So thank you all. And thank you to the person who gave me a donation. It's very kind of you. And I'll see you later. Bye, guys.